Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome everyone into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology turned podcast. Everyone, welcome into the program. I hope that you're doing well and you are ready for today's program, because we have a very special show where we're going to be talking about the classics, AI, machine learning, but applied in a new way. And I'm really looking forward to talking with our guest about how you can use AI and machine learning to really help with marketing. And of course, we're going to throw in a little bit of QR code system in there. And ladies and gentlemen, this is just it really feels like a natural evolution to all of these technologies and kind of how to apply them a little bit differently than what you've heard before. So we'll be joined by Relotis here in just a moment. But before we get into that, computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything, including past shows, future shows, show notes, articles, reviews, all that and more. You can find that at Computer America. Find us on social media. And of course, anything that we talk about today, if you want a link to our guest website, if you want, just anything that may come up on the show, everything will be included in the show notes. So, of course, that'll be in the descriptions, but, of course, at computeramerica.com. So, with all that being said, that's our introduction. Let's go ahead and bring on our guest and have some fun. So, as I said before, relotis.com, relotis.com, if you want to check them out. We are joined by the founder and CEO, Mr. Alani Kuye. He is the founder, CEO, there we go. But yeah, he's joining us here and to talk all about the system, what it does, how it works. And ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get started. So Alani, welcome onto the program.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure being here. Hello to everyone. And I'm very happy to be, I made your show, right? That's awesome. I made it.
Yeah, happy to have you. So I think with the way these things go, let's get some background. Let's what is your past? Have you always been in technology, or have you just been an entrepreneur? What is your background before you got into Relotis?
Yeah, so I spent 21 plus years in the enterprise technology space. I actually started as an engineer, and then went into more executive roles over the last 10, 15 years. So we think about supply chain management systems, logistics, platforms, dealing with the US government on a global scale, predominantly with disaster recovery and data storage, high performance computing clusters. And over the last few years, in more executive roles, I've been a founder. I've done a few real interesting projects, and now capping it with AI and machine learning, and also in blockchain, actually. Blockchain technology, ensuring transparency, inclusion, ubiquity, and really technically complex programs. My expertise really is in simplification and scale. So you think about rapid application deployment, rapid application development, and scaled deployments.
So, very, very nice history, and it's a natural fit for, kind of how we got to Relotis. I wanted to, kind of address because you mentioned blockchain. There was a time on Computer America where when the blockchain was really, really going, everyone was rushing to get a new, a new coin out there. They were rushing to do a new application. They had a new blockchain that was going to fix everything from, shipping and managing to the medical field to, there was a blockchain for everything. I think a lot of the hype, a lot of the excitement kind of died down. But from your opinion, and we're going to also tie this into AI and machine learning, back then blockchain was like a buzzword. Did the blockchain, when all the dust settled, it's kind of a known technology for people that need to know about it, did it have an impact on the technology field? And then let's say AI and machine learning, is it just a buzzword, or are these technologies going to have an impact on, technology at large or specific fields?
Well, first, I think, blockchain as a whole, you have to think about the history and why it came to be, right? So the goal was inclusion, transparency, ubiquity, right? And consensus. So obviously, with any new technology stack, there's an excitement around it. Mm-hmm. And the bastardization of any new thing is why everybody was launching a token. It's actually interesting because there's a lot of projects at the time, they know a lot more about their tokenomics than their actual product. Many of them didn't even have a product. They had a coin, right?
Right.
But it did nothing. They can only trade it or stake it. They can only tell you how to DeFi it, how to earn more coins from doing complex financial transactions with those coins. But when you ask them, what's the use case? 99% of them had no use case. They had a white paper, but when you read it, it had no gravitas. So when you now fast forward, right, that rapid adoption meant a lot of capital moved, predominantly from the retail sector, because most people naturally want the easier route. So it's, oh man, I can just buy this coin and wait for it to 1000x and then sell it. Mm-hmm. Well, they took in a lot of capital, but there was really no liquidity because a lot of that capital just evaporated or ended up in other projects. So people will start, for example, X token, sell it so that they can take that money to go buy Bitcoin. So the ultimate beneficiary was, the Bitcoins, the Ethereums of the world, the stable, original, cryptocurrency projects, because many of those quote unquote scam projects was just another avenue to pull liquidity so they can go buy more Bitcoin.
Makes
so
sense.
when you take that, so when you fast forward now, regulators are now saying, wait a minute, you guys have the opportunity to self-govern. You didn't do it. So here we will come and do it for you. Hence the issue with Secretary Gensler and the gang at the SEC. As much as I have my own opinions on what they're doing, mm-hmm. quite frankly, the blockchain industry had an opportunity to self-govern and it never did it. Okay? So it's like the child who had many opportunities to clean up his room and didn't do it. And here comes mom and dad saying, okay, you know what? We're going to take away your video game. We're going to take away your cell phone. And then we're going to teach you how to clean your room, not the way you want to, how to, when to, and what tools to use. And you go practice that. When you come back, you'll earn your video game and your cell phone and your car keys back. Right. And now the kid's throwing a tantrum saying, my parents just don't understand, right? Like the old Will Smith song. Right? all these dumb rules that don't, that shouldn't apply to us. But yeah, I got you. Good analogy. Exactly. So if you act like children, we will treat you like children. So there need to be adults in the room. So now AI comes behind that. So can you imagine if the blockchain industry adopted, rules of engagement, and then AI comes on top of that? Imagine how much value would have been unlocked through that exercise. But they failed at that. And now AI and machine learning is here, and everyone's trying to pivot to AI ML. Right. Okay. But AI ML, you got to have a use case. You have to have a use case. You have to solve simple problems that anybody understands. Not vanity problems, not vanity metrics, not cool things. Unfortunately, in a lot of blockchain, you have folks who build cool tools so they can go brag on Twitter about the cool thing they just built, maybe for them and their friends. And the question I always ask them is, did you build this for humans, or you built it for you and your buddies so you can go get Twitter likes? Right. And 9 times out of 10, they're vanity tools. No one needs another wallet, digital wallet. No one needs another block explorer, right? No one needs another, fancy tool that only people who live in, the Western world with certain infrastructure, vanity problems. There are people out there who are starving. There are people who have real problems they're trying to solve every day. Cool things don't matter to them.
So we've seen that with AI and machine learning when it came to like chatbots. Everyone, a lot of big companies were trying to create chatbots, and there might have been a use case down the road, but when they created them, they were just kind of like, oh, we'll train it, and it'll do a thing, and maybe it'll be cool, and maybe we'll do something with it later. All of the conversation we just had, you're saying that AI machine learning needs to be like, it's a very cool technology, but it needs to be targeted to solve a problem. And you chose, I guess, Relotis as your use case, I guess.
Correct. So, two rules in any industry: you cannot scale what you can simplify. Mm-hmm. And secondly, if your key value proposition isn't obvious, that means even you don't know it well enough, right? So if you take Google, for example, 25 or so years ago and this very day, the homepage looks the same. We all know there's a lot of technology behind it, right? But when you go to Google, it's one search bar. Low cognitive load. Anybody can go there and they know what's going on. Love or hate the company, they know that, to the point where the company name is now used as a verb.
Yeah.
That's simplicity at scale. Take Yahoo, on the other hand, older than Google, once one of the largest companies in the world, right, has had an identity crisis for 30 plus years. The homepage has always been busy. You don't know which one is a Yahoo. There's too much going on today. And as a matter of fact, they have the opportunity to acquire Google. They have the opportunity to acquire Google for pennies on the dollar, like 20 million or something like that.
Yeah.
And they shooed them off. Today, Google is one of, if not the largest company on the planet, non-financial, if you exclude BlackRock and Citadel and, those guys. Yahoo is a department of Verizon. Okay? If you can't simplify it, you can't scale it.
And then of course too, that's of course a very famous story in technology. I'm sure someone at Yahoo has been kicking themselves for a long time. But when it comes to so simplifying, and what you're saying is we need to simplify when it comes to AI machine learning. We need to make it simple for the customer, because right now, like whenever we have talked about it in the past, creating these things, you either copy and paste what someone else has done, or you go out and hire some people, and a lot of money, a lot of effort goes into this thing called like a black box that no one really knows how it's done. You want people to use AI machine learning for Relotis' case, you want it to be very simple, I guess is the point you're getting at. You want end users to be able to harness this, and they just go somewhere and it just does what they need it to do. That's
correct. So what Relotis is basically AI that streamlines enterprise data insights for specialty controlled items, which humanizes information, reduces compliance risks, and increases efficiencies, whether you're a manufacturer or a direct to consumer brand or a distributor. What that means is, whether you're a marketing genius, or you're a warehouse worker, or you're an intern, right? Wherever you are across the value chain, you can interact with the system in humanized, like human language. It's so simple. You have to want to not use it to not know how to use it. Onboarding time is 15 seconds or less, quite frankly.
How was that accomplished? Did you get a bunch of people that didn't know, really anything, or was that constant iteration and just finding pain points? I mean, that simplification, that could not have been a quick process. How long have you been kind of working on Relotis?
It took about a year and a half, actually, and it was. I mean, there were moments where we were thinking, "Oh man, why is this a stealth exercise?" Because as a matter of fact, and part of folks who participated in that, exercise, we had someone who spent, 14 years with Central Intelligence, and we'll find out at some point, and about 10 years at the Federal Bureau of Investigations. We had, 3, AI blockchain, very brilliant devs who pretty much built entire chains from scratch, and also non-technical users, right? So you have a very healthy mix of, okay, if I'm coming from a certain world and I'm looking at this, what am I looking for? What am I seeing, right? And you have folks who have nothing to do. So you have both experts from different perspectives looking at it and providing direct feedback. So what then happens is you look at how do we unlock value using AI ML, in a way that would analyze millions of personas and data points, right? Share these insights to improve performance, creating and deploying those data sets with authenticity, using deep learning natural language processing and ML insights to automate this process we're talking about. How do we take human learning model and optimize it, right? To use customer interaction and product delivery using this technology in a permissionless, low cognitive load manner.
Yeah. So I'm curious, when a company wants to start using this product, are you pulling data from data points that are already being, kind of captured? Because I know that, there's a lot on the back end that kind of, tracks what the customer does and, kind of other points that may deter them and things like that. Like, what I'm saying can this just use the data that is already captured by most companies, or do you have to kind of onboard onto the system, let the system run for 6 months in the background, capture new, different, very specific data points, and then you can train your model and do it? Or can anyone just jump in and you can start using Relotis right off the bat?
So first things first is you're using controlled data sets, right? And that for us is a couple of days, because we're not using public information. We're using information that's protected, got walls around it, unlike consumer GPT technology that says, oh, we're just going to go to open source intelligence, and script Wikipedia, script whatever, which in many cases, it just gives you false information, right? So when you take that enterprise perspective and say, we're looking at controlled data sets, right? Data that's non-public. Right. So if you have, say, 4 petabytes or 10 terabytes of data that's been sitting in an SAP server for a company, that they've accumulated over years. So Relotis goes in and just bores through that data. And we're talking a few days, and it's a continuous process, right? So whether you start on day 1 or 6 months, it's a continuous process. It's constantly looking and refining that data set, and as it refines it, right, it's able to finesse. So you have increased accuracy, right? Just by looking at, so the data itself is proprietary. The data sets you're looking at, it's not public. So you have better accuracy.
I mean, and from my perspective, and feel free to correct anything I'm saying, because you're definitely, a head above me when it comes to all this. But from my understanding, like that's where you really want to be, because when it comes to machine learning, when you use those public data sets and like those much bigger data sets, everything just kind of comes out, the same flavor. Everything's just kind of, I guess, like a muted version of what AI and machine learning can be. But when you like you said, you use a custom data set, it's much more, I don't want to say like active, much more like accurate or, useful, I guess, to the customer, right?
Yes. It's when it's controlled, when it's non-public, it's more useful, it's more accurate, right? More insightful. It's also familiar. So I'll give you a quick example. We all know that vanity metrics are a scam. Think about this. Many companies will spend $100,000, $1 million a month to go do social media marketing ads, right?
Yeah.
They get 1 million likes, 100,000 shares, maybe another 100,000 new followers. But when you ask them, did you get 1 million new customers or 100,000 new customers? Then they start giving you the fancy answers. Well, we look at engagement. I don't need all the fancy marketing mumbo jumbo. At the end of the day, it's all vanity metrics. Okay, half those interactions are bots from the platform to make you think. You're getting real engagement. You don't really have any really meaningful insights. It's a scam. So the
Well,
AI model now says
you're really buying and that's what that's where you're on. You're buying the social media's product, which is the engagement. You're buying and of course they want to sell you the best product they can. So I guess they're selling you the engagement. They're selling you the visibility. But you're right. That's not a strict customer. That is essentially you're paying money for a product, and that product is visibility. But what that really means to a company,
correct. And we've seen the exposure on that front, where we've realized that half, at least, of those interactions are bots. Just 2 years ago when Facebook was subpoenaed to provide, even last year during the Elon Musk Twitter fiasco, where it turned out, 56%, of the Twitter user base are just bots. And he put out that warning saying we're going to clean up the platform, and many of you might lose, a chunk of your followers. It's just because we're cleaning up the platform. So you start to look at and you realize that, I boldly call it a scam because for the longest time, it actually started way back during the GeoCities and Yahoo days. Where you put up a banner ad in HTML, you got a code, you pay for it for clicks, and people were going to India, click farms in India. You pay, $1,000 and you get a bunch of kids in a room just clicking on the, to put your page rank value up to make it look like you get a lot of users, right? So where Relotis comes in is done away with all that. Okay, you look at a control data set, right? And every unique data point about that customer, purchase history, brand association, timing, behavior, everything, location awareness, everything is embedded in that QR code. So if you bought a pair of Nike sneakers, for example, right? Think about it this way: the most exciting time that you love to hear from your vendor is when you receive your product. I'm sure, is that a Shure microphone you have?
This is, yes.
So Shure. Did you get it on Amazon?
I think I was actually talking to the Shure manufacturer themselves when I got it. So yeah, they've been on the show a few times. So, but yeah.
Okay, that's an mini endorsement for sure.
No. I was talking to the guy, but no. I to your point, when let's say my monitor, I have a big old monitor, and I bought that off Amazon, and I've enjoyed it for a long time. So please continue with your analogy. You're good.
There you go. So when it arrived at your doorstep, and you see that package, as a matter of fact, when you look down your driveway, and you see that Amazon truck, and you're expecting something, whether or not it's your stuff being delivered, there's a dopamine rush in your head. My stuff is here. When it's actually your stuff, it just goes up. You're at the door, you see your name on it. It feels great because that's when you're most excited to hear from your vendor. Every other time, you don't care. You don't want to see the spam emails. You don't want to see any of that stuff. So imagine now you get your Shure microphone and they say, hey, we see you bought a Shure, and based on what you've bought in the past, you've bought other related brands. For this Shure microphone, however, right, you can get, a cloud sound optimizer for it if you order in the next 30 days. You get a 25% discount. Oh, by the way, there's a Pro Tools component that goes. So all of that based on your unique behavior on the platform, and it's incentivized, right? So now as a customer, you go, this is relevant. I was saying earlier, if you bought a pair of Nike sneakers, it looks, you bought Nike, you bought Reebok, you bought whatever. Guess what? There's a pair of Nike socks. That's your size. That if you order in the next 2 weeks, whatever, here are their incentives. So, by the way, it's in a warehouse near you, so you can order the same day before noon and get it by 2:00 today. So all of those unique characteristics, and that's just a tip of the iceberg, because now we're getting into other areas like pharmaceutical industries, where if you were a diabetic, for example, and you've been paying for a certain insulin product, right? Mm-hmm. And we can look in the system and we know that based on what you're buying, based on where you live, based on your age, you're likely retired or close to retirement. Here is the equivalent generic version with the same characteristics to save you money on your healthcare costs. valuable data insights.
Yeah, and that really, I wanted to, touch on that a little bit, because there's certainly, it's almost like scary, the situation that you set up, because of how much, I'm sure people have experienced it themselves, but it seems almost predatory that there's a machine out there, there's a system out there that is, kind of almost reading your mind. Like, obviously it's just, predicting the next thing, and, kind of using conclusions to arrive that, hey, you may want those socks, that, like you said. But there's a positive influence for consumers out there. And I really liked your example for the diabetics, that, there are generics, there are cheaper things, there are things that you need that you don't even think, about, that could really help you in your situation. Like, there's a positive like, obviously there's a positive for companies that, you can get more conversions, get more customers, but for the customer, there's a value there too, right?
Excuse me. Absolutely. And that's the point when we start to look at other areas where AI ML is very valuable, predominantly Relotis, because you look at, I use a healthcare, example, that's a very, 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 very easy one among many, but again, as I said earlier, we have to look at technology from a use case perspective. Is it solving relatable, tangible problems, not just vanity problems? So the guy who wants to order a Nike, that's a convenience thing. Okay, the world's not going to end if you don't have any pair of Nike sneakers. The person, who's ordering monitors, again, that's a convenience. I call it a first world problem, right?
Right.
But when you start getting into healthcare, for example, it's not just diabetes. There's all the ailments like that. There are people today who can't pay their rent. They have to choose between their rent and their health. Okay, that's where you start to unlock value, right? And then you get into other industries, whether it's, manufacturing, direct-to-consumer brands, being able to, again, optimize for certain product lines based on unique behaviors. Not the convention says spray and pray, right? Let's just offer everybody a 10% discount and hope some of them take it. But that's wrong. Okay, and it's debatable. You talk about the invasive nature. Because, again, you have to give people the choice. If value is there, most people are reasonable. Most people are reasonable if you demonstrate value, right? It's a give or take. I always say that, if I was in the U.S. Senate, for example, I would push very hard to pass a law that says every time you sign up for a social media account, okay, they need to tell you how much they will make monetizing your data every year. And you should have the right to ask for a piece of those funds.
I have heard that argument before. It's and to a lot of people, it's like what, a company pay me, like that company would never work. But at the same time, it's like that company's making a lot of money off you, and you don't even know it. Like it's
you don't even know it.
Yeah.
So it's a shared responsibility. You can't socialize the cost while privatizing the gains. Right. So from a blockchain perspective, that's part of what blockchain does. Platforms like Mask Protocol, which, I've worked very closely with, do exactly that. Brave browser kind of tries to do that, where the revenue, they share it across the user base. So they get a loyal user base, obviously, right? But that's part of the promise of blockchain, that, to your earlier observation, your point, got bastardized, where people saw the low-hanging fruit of just launching a coin,
right,
and making money, and somehow they lost, that broader mission statement.
Right. So and to bring this back around to Relotis, and here are my notes, and you've mentioned a couple times with the QR code. Tell us about your product. Maybe go through. Well, actually, let's just focus on. So there's a QR code that goes onto a product, and I guess that does the customer scan that? Is that just something that goes through, like the point of sale, and that's when you kind of know who buys it and what goes in the payment information. Like, how does Relotis kind of track all this, or how does the QR code work into your service?
Okay, so the platform itself just looks at historical data. So an API call, an API connection just says, okay, hey, we're going to give you API access to whether it's your warehouse management system or your CRM system, whatever you use, it doesn't matter what, it's platform agnostic, SAP, Oracle, JD Edwards, whatever the platform is. It looks at it and it starts to piece and parse through all of those data points, because every customer normally has a customer ID and no two customer IDs are the same. So you get the primary key and it's a tree, like a pyramid, and then you just bore down into it and you start to build a narrative. So each, whether it's 5 customers or 5 billion customers, each one is a unique entity. And as it passes through that, all of those fine data points are embedded in that smart QR code. It's actually attached on the box. So when it's coming up the conveyor belt, some places like to put inserts in. No, it's just a tiny little sticker that goes on the box.
Right.
Okay. And what happens, also remember, is I could be a guy in marketing or finance or whatever. I'll just go ask the system, tell me my most active customer in Charlotte, North Carolina, or my least active customers or my least 5 active regions in New England or Texas or wherever it is. And it'll tell you and recommend incentives or engagement programs or initiatives for those regions. How do we increase sales in our least active? It's just human language. And what happens is, since it's passed through all of that data, it'll spit it out to you. Oh, your least active regions are New York, these counties, right? These are the products and brands they've interacted with in this time frame, and to re-engage them, take these actions. Do you want to? Yes or no? You hit yes, boom. It starts to, and at the point where products go out, it's already embedded. So the guys downstream, they just see a printed QR code on that box that's just going out. They don't even, but all that's already taken care of. So that's how that value.
Yeah, and you kind of answered the next question I had, was when you had that situation where, and for anyone out there watching the video portion, you can see, we can kind of show the website in the background, where you get those real-time recommendations to optimize each customer. So my next question was, is that also automated to, put out, a 10% sale or stuff like that? Or is that where the human steps in and goes, okay, I'll take these recommendations and apply them? And it sounds like your system can also just, either say yes or no, and then your system can take it away and start to do the recommendations that it recommends.
Correct. So once it's actually going to ask you, should I do this? Basically, do you want these incentives activated? It's, you just say, if you say no, it'll do nothing. If you say yes, everything's automated. And all you just see are the QR codes spat out. So again, the point being low cognitive load so that it's scalable.
Makes perfect sense. So tell me about your existing customers. I mean, what has the feedback been? Because development time and development in a lab is one thing. Testing it in the real world, has it been kind of like amazement? Has it been this is really handy? How's the response been?
It's been phenomenal, because we started with two of the largest distributors of vaping products in the U.S. And it's a very highly regulated industry. They cannot legally advertise on conventional channels. They can't give away freebies. They can't do any of that. So we were able to integrate into their system and unlock by just reselling to their existing customers, no new customers. So now you're generating millions. Just going back to your existing customers who bought from you by engaging them in a much more accurate, decisive manner. Because again, that's what unlocks value. Okay. By engaging them in a way they understand based on their preferences, not just a spray and pray. Most people would just go, oh, let's just send an email blast to all our, 20 million. No. If you factor, this is, again, where you unlock value, because now we go into this industry, right? Retarget those who have bought either recently or so long ago
Yeah.
based on their unique characteristics, right? And they start buying again. You can say, and we're going to go tell, give us our least performing regions and how we can optimize based on brand, brand loyalty, purchasing patterns. And you go in there and they go, okay, go to Charlotte, go to, Miami, Florida, go to Philadelphia, offer these incentives because these brands that you carry are active in those regions, right? And you can have more incentives based on your distribution locations being closer to those customers in those regions. Oh, by the way, these customers live near metropolitan areas, and these are also related brands that are currently offering XYZ incentive. So you start and you hit go, and all that's buried in there. So the customer, right? What happens is they get the product, they go, oh, not only do I save on this product, there are all these other related things that I had done in the past, I had interacted with in the past, and I haven't had them in a while, and they're offering. So information, clarity, engagement, right? Transparency. And you automate all of that. You don't need analysis paralysis.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there's a lot of marketing people out there that are definitely, because there's so many ways nowadays, so many promises out there of how to market your product and the returns and all that kind of thing. This really seems to take even more data points than one person can really take at once themselves. What product do you think this really benefits from? Like, is this like a food, soft drink thing? Is this like a clothing thing? Or, you talked about the healthcare, the medical field. What products do you think best would benefit from a system like this?
But quite frankly, I think healthcare and direct-to-consumer brands. I think, for me personally, I'm pushing hard for the healthcare part because healthcare is an ongoing issue in this part of the world.
Yeah.
Because the costs, to individuals and families are just astronomical. And that's a very ripe area for disruption. Yes, we have companies who deliver, medication to different neighborhoods, individuals, retirement homes, senior homes, all that. But I think there's a lot of infrastructure built around it, but the cost either remains the same or goes up. So how can we take AIML and unlock value to make life easier? That's where I really see this going.
No, I really appreciate the canned answer because, healthcare, we spend more per capita than any other country, but we get, in some cases, much inferior healthcare out there. You're right. And, using the resources that we obviously pour into it more effectively, I guess that's really at the heart of Relotis is, kind of efficiency when it comes down to it. So perfect fit.
Exactly. And then secondary areas is the complete opposite, which is direct-to-consumer brands, especially toys, kids' toys, for example, being able to leverage the tech to say, hey, here are the toys your kids like. By the way, you bought, a Voltron set or you bought Legos, for example. Oh, by the way, here are related items to this product, right? Based on what you bought and what your purchasing patterns look like, right? Whether it's standard, because when you get a Lego box, for example, especially around the holidays, it's because you're going to get visitors, you're going to get family most of the time. Mm-hmm. So family, kids, if you have Lego boxes, I hope a whole bunch of grown-up folks aren't sitting around playing with Legos, but I leave that to your audience. But a bunch of kids, and let's be frank, kids equals germs. Okay, so you want to get hand sanitizers. So my point is,
makes sense.
There's ways we can live. For example, you bought a Shure microphone. Chances are you're either building a studio. You have an office, right?
Right.
So again, the AI and ML looks at that based on your patterns. If you bought that and you have an Aeron chair, we can build a whole narrative around that. But you also control that because when you do scan that QR code, you can opt out of future, communication. That being said, if the engagement is useful and there's a key value prop that's very obvious and you benefited from it, 96% of engagees don't opt out. Simply because it makes sense. It's the spammy slick, salesy stuff that turns people off.
Right. Yeah, there's always a system where, opt-in versus opt-out, and it's, people are, what is the overall? It's like 90-10, like opt-in, 90% of people will not, 10% of people will. Opt-out, 90% of people will not opt out, and 10% of people will. But yeah, if you spam them constantly with the same, to give you an example that I have in my personal life, there's clothing stores like Dillard's, Belk, whatever. At some point in the past 10 years, I've signed up for a lot of their mailing stuff. AI, I use Gmail like everyone else. At some point, they've all been filtered out, for spam, for not clicking their links. It was just not effective. And at some point, even Google was like, these are just getting annoying. Like, we're not even going to show you these anymore. So you're saying that your system can, kind of do a little bit better job than eventually getting caught by the spam filter.
Exactly. The first thing is we're not even sending out emails. Okay. It's just straight. I mean, that QR code is where it starts. So think of something, we actually, funny enough, compared to conventional engagement models, which is you obviously pay for play, price per click, cost per meal and all that.
Right.
Our customers don't even pay a dime unless someone actually uses the QR code.
And I was going to ask you a little bit about kind of where your business comes into the play, because you are a business, and the point is to provide a service and get paid for it. That's always important. Yeah. When it comes to the cost, we've had people on the show before that have said, I have revolutionized. We had a company on that did the satellite shipping lanes, and they're like, we have redone the system for redoing the shipping lanes across the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. I'm like, that's great. And it's like, yeah, we just need to get everyone to switch over to it. And I'm like, do you think they're going to abandon everything, restructure everything, and put in new hardware to get this going? And it's like, well, maybe. So when it comes to cost for businesses, how much is there a high kind of paywall to get into this, or tell us about the pricing scheme that you've come up with?
Yeah. So first things first, AI/ML is a $4+ trillion industry, and the potential, value capture is simply astronomical. We're talking the 5.5% CAGR, right? So for us, onboarding is actually zero.
There you go.
And we've tested this model; it's worked. Okay. Convention, as I said earlier, is pay per click for legacy platforms. But the Relotis platform is actually pay per engagement. So it costs our customer, zero to get onboarded, get activated. They pay only when that end user sees that QR code, scans it. Real engagement, and and it's very transparent. It's 20 cents a click.
There you go.
Average sale for our customers is about $85. Right? Some are up to $300-$400 per sale. Would you pay 80 cents for $100 sale? I mean, 20 cents for $100 sale, not 80. Would you pay 20 cents for an $100 sale?
Yeah.
Or would you pay $100,000 for 100,000 Facebook likes when half of them are bots?
So when and then it does kind of raise the question why you felt this wasn't not that it wasn't necessary, but clearly you could have had where put a little algorithm in there and be like, your average sale, this customer's average sale was $100, so we're going to take maybe a percentage or a sliding scale or something like that. 20 cents per click is pretty standard. Do you think that's going to change in the future? The value that we give you is going to be a percentage or a sliding scale that you give back to us, or are you just looking for something that this is going to grow, and you think at large this is going to stay pretty low?
That number is going to remain so long as I'm at the helm.
All right.
Period.
No, that's definitely great. And tell us a little bit real quick about the templates, because here, just so everyone knows, and again, you can find this on your website. Clearly, if you have a custom project, you seem very open, knowledgeable, and you will work with a larger company that needs a more custom option. Sure, but for other companies out there, tell us about templates, because I think this gets into the part where you're saying low, mental overhead, just very simple. So tell us about templates.
So templates are just mechanisms that users can use to customize their own interface. Right. So if your customer scans a QR code, where do you want them to go to? Right. Directly to a shopping cart, directly to a unique page, directly to a branded version of the system. So we provide multiple templates, again, to give customers the flexibility to tailor that last mile end user experience, to their industry, right? To whatever. Within the confines of templates, of course, to whatever end user experience they want for it. Because remember, once they scan that QR code, we've brought that customer back in. It's still important, it's still incumbent on the customer to complete that conversion. We've done our part at that point. So to help ease that transition, that's why those templates exist, and they continue to grow. For them to how can we make that last mile easier, that journey? How can we help you complete that process? And in most cases, the few cases we've had so far, they just wanted their own templates, and it's there to use it if you want to use it, right? It makes that journey easier.
So
our job is to lower the cognitive load, make it easy.
Yes,
that's our job.
Very important. And one more thing I want to touch on, because you mentioned it way at the beginning, and I wanted to reiterate, because it's always a priority here on our show, security when it comes to handling data, stuff like that. You mentioned you have you accept people's APIs. On your end, is security a consideration, or is this running on, you go to Starbucks and you kind of knock out the project while you're at Starbucks? How important is security to your company?
Well, first things first, this is a closed loop system. So it's not available to any Tom, Dick, or Harry. If you're not a customer of ours, you just don't have access to the system. And every security protocol today, remember, you can't work with, a small company the same way you work with a large enterprise company. Mm-hmm. The reason most large companies move slow is because they're mature and there is process. Process means protocol, means security, means governance, means transparency, accountability, because you have to report on those things. And that, from an enterprise perspective, is baked into the system. Again, as I said earlier, it's not a public-facing system. It's not available to anybody unless you're a customer that has an SLA, a contract with us. You don't even get to see it.
Oh.
The same way you just can't go to the same way you just can't go to SAP and say, "Hey, give me an SAP account or give me an Oracle account." Who are you, right?
Yeah, for sure. So Relotis, you have launched, you have a website. Obviously, people can contact you, if they want to get things going. What stage are you at? Because we have a question here about individual investors, venture capitalists. Obviously, you've started it. Now, are you at the point of trying to scale the company and try to get more money in there to hire people and do more? Like, what stage of growth are you in?
Yeah, so with the two enterprise, customers in the system, it's been phenomenal, and we'll continue to leverage those relationships. And as you saw, they've actually gone to bat for us very publicly in some of the items that we've seen on Yahoo Finance and other areas. So where it is right now is in the growth stage. We're in market, we're in service. I can tell, Realtors is one of the only three AI ML platforms that actually has revenue and paying customers. And I challenge anybody to dispute this. Every other AI ML platform is still an experiment. They're in the lab. Okay? They raise a ton of money at hyper valuations. They still perform an experiment. Stability AI, they just got caught 2 months ago, who just ripped ChatGPT and rebranded it, and they raised $250 million on top of that. Talk about getting caught with your hand in the cookie jar.
Very similar to like you mentioned with all the different tokens and coins that were happening with everything was just a bit a ripoff of Ethereum, and
anybody can go on GitHub and fork a repo and rebrand it and call it, I'm launching my own chain. As a matter of fact, I did an experiment. I launched a chain. This was last year. That's part of an R&D exercise. Launched it in all 15 minutes. Launched the chain. Okay. Put in 100, and I won't get into the mechanics. Just give you a high level gist of it. Put about $300 into initial liquidity, and in about 30 minutes, when you looked, on Binance, some of the aggregators out there.
Yeah, the big exchanges and trackers.
The company had a $45 million market cap in 15 minutes. Yeah, welcome to crypto, right?
Yeah, that's.
And the government,
needs a little bit of regulation.
And there you go. And I've built validator programs. I've run validator programs for a lot of really big chains. I actually wrote a paper on validator governance, and I'll share that link with you, and you can share it with your users as well. You look at that. I should not be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I should not be able to do that.
But that is really the state that we're in, and like I said, that initial excitement about a technology. There's of course going to be people excited like you that are going to start companies and have an idea and really try to apply the technology in a new and innovative and productive way. But there's going to be others that are just going to be like, oh, there's excitement here. That means there's money to be made here, and that's what's going to ruin it for a lot of people. But
I just shared the link to the paper. It's on ssrn.com. It's an academic paper. It's a good read. You can share that with your audience as well. It's why governance is important, because these chains become oligarchies at best, scammers at worst. Okay? Because anybody can launch a chain and get 5 of their buddies to set up, $100 computers as validators and say, hey, here's my chain. We have 5 validators. Here's our coin. Go buy it. Mm-hmm. And people just flock to that stuff. There was a time similar to the click farms from back in the day. There were, farms where people would just go to certain countries, pay a bunch of people, give them $10 each to pretend people are buying. There's a lot of $10 transactions on the chain, and people think, oh, people are buying this coin, right? And they pile on, and exponentially, it's a snowball effect. So how do you implement governance? How do you implement transparency and accountability? There's none.
Yeah, and I would like to share this stat out there that they say something like, when it came to cryptocurrency, and then I'll get off topic and we'll kind of wrap it up here. But I gotta say, like, cryptocurrency, they said like 2% of all transactions are either fraud or not fraudulent, but like through scammers and and other people like that. It was proven that like 90% of transactions are cryptocurrency, one wallet to the other wallet, where the 2 wallet owners are the same person. The same person transfers it or launders it or does something like that. So that means like 8% of all transactions out there are like legitimate transactions between 2 parties. 2% out there are scammers, and 90% is all just fluff. It's all just fake. Exactly. So yeah, finding actual value and use case for crypto out there, like, that's a budding market. Even though it looks big, it may not be as big, and AI can very much be the same way. But finding good products that utilize the technology in a useful way. That's where we're at, and I'm really happy that you decided to come to us with Relotis, because it sounds like you're that's what you're going for, useful.
Yes. Again, we humanize it so we can scale it. You can't scale what you can't simplify, and that's what Relotis does. And going back to your final question a few minutes ago, I think from an investment perspective, we are in market, we're in service with contracts with customers, okay, with revenues. So we are scaling, okay. We're not interested in what I call glorified loan agencies, right? We call them partners, not even investors, with the right mindset that scales. If you have no experience with scaling, this is not the right opportunity. With them as astute partners with a sense of urgency that understand scale.
Right. So, but before I start to wrap it up here, is there anything that we didn't touch on or that we didn't talk about that you feel like we should get in here for our listeners, or do you think we've touched on a lot of what Relotis is?
I think we've touched on most of what it is. We could keep going. I can tell you that, because there's a whole lot that this is coming from experience. This is coming from having done this a few times. So there's a lot of areas we can get into, things like ecosystem, the actual technology, what the competitive landscape looks like. I always talk about OpenAI, which is focused on the consumer space, and now we're finding out the issue with utilizing OSI, open source intelligence, leads to false information, as we're seeing ChatGPT just making things up, and then we have Microsoft AI, which Microsoft only builds products for their customers because they have about at least 30 to 40 years of data and customers. So when they build anything, they build it going into their existing market, which is SharePoint, Office, and all of that. So again, very different market segment. And then CloudMinds, which is trying to do AI for cloud computing, basically optimized based on what, glorified, Amazon, AWS. So Relotis, on the other hand, as I said earlier, is specifically focused on DTC, interaction, simplification, and just engagement. If someone's paying you,
that's actually a good
services, it should be easy.
Yeah, and that's actually a good point that we should touch on a little bit when it comes to your competitors. Let's say Microsoft, and you said 30, 40 years of customer data. When in your field, is data just king? Like, is the sheer amount of data either proprietary or closed, proprietary or open? Is just whoever has the most data wins, or do you think maybe like these smaller custom AIs really have a place, and that's where it's really going to matter? Who are your customers, and who do you think is going to really settle out? Is it just going to be the people who are the most creative, or is it going to be the Amazon and the Microsofts out there who have the most data?
I think the smaller shops who are the most creative are the ones who are ultimately going to win this. It's not even a battle. It's not a game. They're going to win what I call the market engagement in their market segment. So let me just clarify something about that.
Sure.
Not every company, even though every company wants to be big, not every company needs to be a unicorn. There are companies that do phenomenal business, sustainable, and they're in the $50, $100 million range. That's their sweet spot. Okay. There are companies who scale and go 4, 5, 20, the $1 billion, hyper unicorns out there. And that's their market segment, right? So there's an old saying, everybody wants to go to heaven, nobody wants to die, right? Mm-hmm. You get small shops that want to get big, but when they get big, they don't know how to handle it, right? And somehow they disintegrate. Case in point, Yahoo, right? So my point being, every market segment has a sweet spot. The big shops, the AWSs, Microsoft, SAPs of the world, when they build tools, they build for their existing customers. Because like Microsoft, we have 40 plus years of data that they're sitting on. Okay. So they're just squeezing value out of an existing asset that they have. However, the smaller shops are able to start afresh, right, and deliver new value based on new realities. Hence, the legacy companies moving at a certain pace and the small shops being creative. That's why M&A transactions happen, because the smaller shop demonstrate agility that the bigger entities never have to worry about, because they have existing assets in terms of data going back decades. So what do? They acquire those smaller shops to bring that agility and also that ingenuity and creativity into their ecosystem. And that's a continuous cycle. It's like a Ferris wheel, because when you absorb a small shop, there's 100 other small shops, in line. So that innovation will always continue, in that regard.
Makes perfect sense. So I think with that, and Alani, I'll be honest with you, this interview was supposed to be about half an hour. I've kept you for way too long. I apologize, but this has been a very fun conversation for me. This has been great. And for everyone out there, we're going to start wrapping up here. But if they want to find out more information, I'm guessing Relotis, again, RELOTIS.com is the best place to go.
Yes. That's correct. And email support@relotis.com. And you can actually email me directly, Alani@relotis.com.
All right. Well, we might not put your actual email in the show notes, but in the show notes, we're going to have the website. We're going to have all that stuff in there. We're also going to have the research paper that you sent over as well. We'll have a link to that if anyone would like to check that out. And ladies and gentlemen, again, computeramerica.com for everything that you need to know about today. But I want to thank Alani for coming here. He is, again, the founder and CEO of the company. And Alani, thank you so much. You've been very knowledgeable, and this has been a great interview.
Thank you, sir. Very much appreciated.
All right. Have a great one. Everyone out there, we'll catch you here next time. Until next time, bye, everyone.